So now we'll start with the chapter evolution. Okay, that is the 7th chapter. Now what is evolution? Evolution is the change in the inherited characteristics of biological population over a successive generation. So we can't say that evolution will occur very fast, okay, because slow changes generally lead to evolution. So evolution is a change in the inherited characteristics of biological populations over the successive generation. Evolutionary processes gives rise to diversity at every level of biological organization, including species, individual organisms and molecules such as DNA and proteins. Okay. Now, origin of life. The origin of life is considered as a unique event in the history of universe. When we talk about the universe is about 20 billion years old. It includes huge cluster of galaxies which contain stars and clouds of gas and dust. The Big Bang theory explains origin of universe, which states that the universe arose from a huge explosion unimaginable in physical or large entity. As the universe expanded, the temperature decreases, that is hydrogen and helium were formed sometime later. The gases condense under gravitation and form the galaxies of the present day universe. And in the solar system of the Milky Way, galaxy Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years back. Now when we talk about Earth was formed 4.5 billion years before. Water vapor, methane, ammonia and carbon dioxide were released from the molten mass. The UV rays from the sun broke up water into hydrogen and oxygen. The lighter hydrogen gas escaped from the surface while oxygen combined with other compounds like methane and ammonia to form water, carbon dioxide, etc. As the water vapor cooled, the water fell as rain and filled all depressions to form oceans and other water bodies. From the oxygen, ozone layer was also formed. Life started appearing about 500 million years after the formation of Earth, about 4 billion years back. Now what are the theories of origin of life? Theory of special creation, theory of panspermia, that is Cosmosomic Theory, theory of spontaneous generation and theory of chemical evolution. So the theory of special creation believes that it is a conventional religious literature that talks about the theory of special creation, according to which God, the supernatural being, created the earth, light, plants and animals. This theory has 3 suggested views. Like all living organisms that we see today were created as such. They were created as such. The diversity of life forms was always the same since the time of creation and will remain the same in future also. Earth is about 4,000 years old. All these ideas underwent drastic changes during 19th century when Charles Darwin showed that the existing life forms share similarities to varying degree among themselves and also with those life forms that existed millions of life ago. Okay, and extinctions also took place during a different phase of geological history. So we can't say that all living organisms that we see today were created as such. The other theory was, these are only theories, remember that. The other theory was panspermia, okay, that is Cosmosomic Theory. Here some scientists believe that life has come on Earth from other planets or outer space. Early Greek philosophers thought units called spores or pansperms came on Earth along with meteorites and they might have evolved into a present day forms. Now comes the theory of spontaneous generation. It was also believed that living organism life arose from decaying matters like straw. But Louis Pasteur demonstrated that life can arise only from pre-existing life. So he totally discarded the theory of spontaneous generation with the help of this experiment. He showed that no life arose from the heat-killed yeast broth that was kept in pre-sterilized closed flask, while new organisms arose from heat-killed yeast that were kept in the flask left open in the air. See what he did, he took this yeast broth, okay, and he boiled that and he waited for that. So there was no growth because it was closed flask. Now again he took the broth and he boiled the broth, okay, and he break the neck and so there was seen microbial growth. Okay, so as the broth was boiled, all the life forms were destroyed, and so here we were not able to see any life forms. But when the neck was broken in the second experiment, microbes came from air and they got a nutritive medium and they growed there. So life came from pre-existing form. Other experiment to demonstrate spontaneous generation was observation was flies land on meat that is left uncovered and later maggots appear on the meat. This was the observation. Okay, now hypothesis was flies produce maggots, which was not there. Okay, now what they did, they just kept fresh meat, okay, and they kept the jars uncovered, so maggots appear. Now they covered the jars with mesh, okay, and several days passed, but though no maggot was seen here. So the conclusion was there like maggots from only when flies come in contact with the meat were produced, and spontaneous generation of maggots did not appear. Okay, now the last one was the theory of chemical evolution, which was proposed by O'Brien and Haldane. This is the most relevant theory, okay, which we can say it is somewhat true. They propose that the first life form could have come from pre-existing non-living organic molecules like RNA, proteins, etc., and that the formation of life was preceded by chemical evolution, that is formation of diverse organic molecules from inorganic constituents. Okay, now the conditions on the earth that favored chemical evolution were very high temperature, volcanic storms, reducing atmosphere, contain methane, ammonia and water vapor. Okay, now what was the experimental proof? Stanley, Miller and Urey created conditions similar to the primitive atmosphere in the laboratory using glass apparatus and tubes. They created electric discharge using electrodes in a conical flask containing methane, ammonia, hydrogen and water vapor at 800 degrees centigrade. This is a very important experiment. Okay, the water containing chamber was heated and to provide water vapor. Then after a week they observed that there was a formation of amino acid. In similar experiments, many other scientists observed there was formation of sugar, sometimes nitrogen bases, lipids, amino acids, even pigments. So analysis of meteorites also revealed the presence of similar compounds, indicating the occurrence of similar processes elsewhere in the space. So the chemical evolution of life was more or less accepted, and so they believe that the lipids, amino acids, nitrogen bases, sugar, okay, these type of compounds must have formed, and these compounds must have assembled and produced life. So this was the Miller and Urey experiment using electrode discharge sparks, which provided the experimental way of lightning. Okay, this was the condenser which was providing the water vapor. Okay, and this was a mixture of gases like it would have happened on Earth. Okay, so in this way they formed many compounds which are now essential elements for living organism. Okay, so more or less what was accepted, and this chemical evolution was accepted. Okay.